Get a load of these guys. Trying to compete with corporate giants and thinking they have the resources to do it? Who do they think they are? Microsoft? Ha! Movies. We watch them. Sometimes we even watch like 7 in a row and call it a movie marathon. TV? We watch it too. Sometimes 3 seasons in a row until the streaming service asks us how we're doing and if our mental health is still intact. But why do we watch this kind of content? Well, because they have stories and they have worlds built around them. Whether they're make-believe or they're based on true stories, this is the main reason why we like TV and movies. And ever since civilization was a thing, we kinda love to hear about these stories. That's how a lot of history got told throughout the years. So yeah, there's a very fundamental reason why we watch these stories in a visual form. Now let me ask you this. Why the fuck do we watch video game streaming? Why do we find watching other people play games and narrate over them so entertaining? I mean, video games are a very interactive type of content. Hold on, someone's at my door. I don't know what the fuck that was all about. I mean, don't we have to play the games ourselves to really enjoy the content? I mean, sure, a lot of people watch streamers because of the commentary. Some of them are legitimately interesting conversationalists. Others watch them for the interaction element that's behind them. Something about having a shared experience with a complete stranger makes watching the games all more enjoyable. Others, they're just extremely skilled at the game. And some streamers just have attributes that a lot of people find attractive. Video game streaming has had a very unconventional rise to popularity. It all stemmed from a little site called Justin TV. This site coined the term live casting, which consisted of basically people broadcasting their live 24/7. And they did this through the use of a webcam and in a mobile audio setup. The most infamous livecaster on the site was actually one of the founders of Justin TV. His name was Justin Khan. Throughout its lifetime, Justin TV expanded into more channels and more users began taking an interest in this type of content. The expansion, of course, later gave birth to something known today as Twitch. You might have heard of them. Twitch was created because of the rising popularity of gaming broadcasts on the site Justin TV. Many can attribute the success of Twitch mainly because of just how many people actually play video games. I mean, it's one of the biggest entertainment industries in the world. Even so, generations that grew up in the 80s and 90s, they kind of saw a renaissance of gaming. So it's no wonder that the largest form of content consumed nowadays is video game streaming. Nowadays, it's extremely common to hear of people actually dedicating their lives to streaming. You got people making a living, and a very comfortable living at that, by just streaming. You hear of whole communities banding behind a single streamer. That's one person with thousands upon thousands of followers just because they stream a game. Obviously, streaming sites such as Twitch have definitely aided in the creation of what we call today e-celebrities. Whole categories on Twitch are dedicated to IRL streaming, or in real life streaming, in which streamers quite literally just stream their daily lives. Kinda sounds like live casting. Now, not only that, but video game streaming has aided, if not basically propped up esports to the success it is today. It is a multi-million-dollar industry, hugely thanks in part to streaming. I mean, every major city in this country has at least one esports team representing it. Also, there's a handful of major competitive games that have a tournament in which their prize pool money surpassed the $1 million mark. That's quite impressive. For example, the Dota 2 2019 international pool prize money was an astonishing $34 million. I mean, we're talking about major sports price tags at this point. Imagine that. Video games can actually convert you into a millionaire. If there's any reason or purpose behind this video, is to show my parents that video games aren't a total waste of time. But let's circle back to the actual streamer and let's talk about money. An average streamer can make a very comfortable living just based off donations, subscriptions, and most importantly, sponsorships. Anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000 per month is an average paycheck to a full-time streamer. Hell, it's also not uncommon to hear about companies fully on sponsoring streamers just to sell their product. You hear a streamer sponsored by big computer accessory companies such as Corsair, energy drink companies such as G Fuel. Streamers are starting to become somewhat of celebrities in their own world. More famously, companies such as G Fuel solely sponsor streamers since most of their customers are either gamers or esports enthusiasts. But where am I going with all of this? Why am I talking about streaming? Why am I talking about video game streaming in specific? Well, recently there's been a very concerning issue arise in the streaming community. What I'm talking about is something that seems to be the issue in a lot of industries, not just the gaming industry. It's Amazon. Just kidding. I mean, kinda. I mean, it's the monopolization of everything from Amazon that really has me worried. As of this video, one of Twitch's biggest competitors has been officially put to sleep. And I'm of course talking of Microsoft's Mixer. Mixer has announced that they are ceasing operations and consolidating with Facebook Gaming. And this was a huge surprise to everyone. Mostly because if a company as big as Microsoft can't even be bothered to compete with Amazon, then who is there to compete with? I mean, many people thought that Microsoft would have never been the first one to fall to the streaming giants. I mean, think about it. Microsoft has a huge footprint in the gaming industry. I mean, even if Mixer wasn't as successful as Twitch, you'd imagine they want to retain all those streamers and content creators and keep the brand's awareness at the top of mind of every single person on the site. As I previously said, I know Microsoft is not hurting for money. It just seemed weird to me that Microsoft would shut down Mixer, being that Mixer was at least in the top 3 most discussed streaming sites in the gaming industry. Why would you shut it down? Why would you hurt your brand that way? Why would you not want to keep at least a foot in the streaming world? And where I'm going with this is that if Twitch becomes the be-all for all video game streaming, the only people who end up losing are the streamers and creators. Twitch has had a very rocky history with its policies and the way it kind of discriminately push their policies to everyone. Not everybody lives under the same rules under Twitch, allegedly based on history. So if Twitch were to be doing something completely irrational or completely unfair to the creator on the platform, guess what? Twitch isn't obligated to change anything. Why? Because they don't have competition. They don't have a competition in the game. The only losers end up being the streamers. Now, and with Mixer shutting down and trying to consolidate with Facebook Gaming, just didn't seem as a very well thought out business idea. I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm sure they have their financial reasons more than anything, but it really makes you wonder, why Facebook Gaming? Believe me, nobody is following Mixer streamers to Facebook Gaming. So the future of video game streaming, although extremely saturated right now, I feel it is going down a very dark and narrow path that I feel streamers are not really gonna like. I mean, all in all, streaming is a fickle but somewhat interesting concept. Why do we look forward to people's streams? Well, at the very fundamental level, people just like being part of a community. And streaming sites cater to this with their interaction tools. We're human beings, we're social creatures, and we thrive in communities. No single person is a deserted island. We're all connected. Since the beginning of written history, we've looked for communities in which we can grow and express ourselves. Communities in which we can really thrive. Whether that's ingrained in our genes or it's just a natural occurrence due to being in close proximity to one another, we sought out these connections. And this is what makes video game streaming so unique, because there's communities behind a single person. Nowadays, creating a community is an extremely hard thing to achieve. With everything becoming less and less localized and more globalized, finding a community is no longer something that's bound to location. You know, nowadays, a person from Tokyo might have the same interests as a person in Chicago, and they might even follow the same streamer and be part of the same community. And this is why streamers are also an important and very, very, very effective way for brands to promote their products. Back in the day, back when I was in college, my thesis paper was on how bloggers with a V were very effective brand endorsers for a lot of brands. Why? Well, because interaction leads to authenticity, and streamers are some of the most, I'm not gonna say authentic, but you tend to believe more of what they're talking about. This is why you see huge sponsorships nowadays from big brands with video game streamers. Hell, Ninja got an Adidas deal. Who would have ever thought that? That a gamer would need sneakers? For what? But it's that authenticity and that level of interaction they have with their audience that brands really value. So even though creating a community is extremely hard, finding one you can feel at home isn't really at all. And I think this is the fundamental reason as to why video game streaming has become a huge success. It's a safe space of some sort in which a group of people can interact, socialize, and really bond through a shared interest. Now, what do I think the future of video game streaming is? I think a lot of more streamers will begin to create coalitions or create streaming groups in which they can support one another, because they need to start seeing themselves as a business. When streamers realize the power that they have behind them in comparison to streaming giants like Twitch, they'll begin to acknowledge their worth a little bit more. Streaming sites such as Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Gaming need us, need content creators. They need streamers to bring people to their site. It sounds weird, but we are the unique selling point for these companies. So with video game streaming sites such as Mixer shutting down, that kind of gives streamers less bargaining power and less ways to diversify and really have a say in the fight of who gets their content. But you tell me what you want to see from video game streaming sites. What do you want to see from Twitch? Why do you think Facebook gaming is a thing? Do you think Twitch will be around forever? Or who do you think might come in and basically become the second most largest competitor to Twitch? Ladies and gentlemen, I've been True Fernie, and as you can tell, I'm shooting from a completely different environment. I recently moved. I am in a bigger place, so I have a lot more space to really kind of create these videos. I'm excited. I got my painting over here of Georgia Smith, which is a terrible painting that I did. I'm sorry, Georgia. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been True Fernie. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you don't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. Every bit helps. All links to my socials are down below, and please be sure to follow me on Twitch, where I now stream a lot more consistently because I finally have a streaming room, a creation room, a studio of some sort. So it's a lot more easier for me to stream. Please take care of each other, but most importantly, take care of yourself. Wear a mask. Peace.